You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're talking about enslavement energies. We define enslavement as energies that hold humans hostage from their purpose and from the ability to express their essence. You know, this is a good one. Stay tuned for this. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Jason, I think the way we decided on the topic is really important to talk about. It's so with that said.
Well, we were commiserating, I guess, about how many people around us
Yes.
Are enslaved.
Yes.
And it's not people that are stupid or dumb
in fact,
or
not at all.
lack education.
Nope.
Or even a form of consciousness.
Right.
And it there are people that understand what we do and believe in the energy stuff, but yet they're still susceptible to being enslaved.
Well,
and it's something that has really been on our minds for a while, and we're really concerned about it.
Well, and because we see how damaging it is and how restricting enslavement is. And by the way, I need to say this. I know we're going to talk about it in the show. This is a really important subject for the simple fact that there isn't anybody that isn't affected by some form of enslavement. And that is the point we're trying to really get across today.
Well, and the other thing is, and this is what makes us sad, but the other self-help, the other spiritual practices,
does not acknowledge it at all.
It doesn't acknowledge it and doesn't even understand it enough to help you overcome it.
Exactly.
And I've seen some of the other practices that are quote unquote spiritual or energetic can be enslaving in themselves. And so please, you have to listen to this. This touches our heart. This is part of why we're here. We know that this is our purpose.
Right. Meaning to talk about this. In fact, talk about all the things that we talk about. But this show is real special because enslavement touches everyone.
And you know what kind of put it over the edge for us was we were watching the Harry and Meghan interview.
Oh yeah, that was yes.
So here it is, a prince, someone who's part of the monarchy is admitting on television that in essence he was trapped, but he didn't know he was trapped.
Right.
Well, trapped is another word for enslavement.
Yeah.
And what he was saying, and if you listen to the interview, I hope it was a very interesting interview.
Yes,
if you listen to that, it was a long interview, but if you listen, he was saying that the whole monarchy is enslaved.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say, and when someone is enslaved to that extent, and there is extents, meaning some enslavement is small and some is large or in between, but when we understand it and it's right there in front of you, and he even admits it, but he doesn't really know what it is.
And he talked about how his wife, who grew up in a different way, was able to reveal to him that his own enslavement. And again, he was using the word trapped, but they're kind of the same. Now, as someone who's everybody in this household, this is big secret, listens to Hallmark, watches the Hallmark channel, and it's full of marry a prince and live happily ever after, or marry a
That's
princess.
true.
A couple times there's marry a princess, but usually it's a prince,
Right.
and live happily ever after. Well, no,
Yes.
this enslavement can be part of anybody's life, and
Yeah.
that's what really motivated us to do this show today.
So, okay, Jason, let's go back to what is enslavement?
Okay, it's an energy, you can't see it, that prevents growth and evolution of essence. And some people use the word soul. We don't use the word soul, we use essence. But our essence is an energy that drives our DNA, that drives our behavior, that makes us feel good or not, that makes us happy or not. Everything goes back to essence. And as intuitives, we saw early on that this is the key to everything. And when people come to us, they have a problem with money, they have a problem with relationships, they have problems with their health, they have a problem just feeling good. They're
some
depressed.
Of all of the above.
All of the above.
Yeah.
And we always go to the essence because that's where it comes from. So, so here's the big problem. This is the big misconception.
Okay.
This isn't about restriction. This isn't about governmental restriction. This isn't about being in a democracy or in a dictatorship.
Okay.
You can be enslaved in the most democratic country in the world.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
you can be free, not as likely, but possible. You can be free in the least democratic and most restricted
places in the world.
Yes. And if you understand the difference, if you understand what we're talking about today, that's a big step forward for you in the beginning. Anyways, okay.
Yes.
So,
yes.
The ecosystem approach, and this is why we created the ecosystem approach, is because it puts your development and your health of your essence as a priority above everything else.
Because that's where, number one, your essence, that's where negative energy is and can be, but it's also where you can change it.
Yes. And generally physical restrictions are not necessarily enslavement, but they usually are.
They can be.
Here's the other thing. Our racial divisions can be very potent form of enslavement.
Absolutely.
Or not.
Yeah.
And Harry and Meghan interview, he said he was enslaved, but he didn't use the word, he said trapped. He was trapped. People of color, women.
Right.
If you're a part of the LGBTQ community, it doesn't matter. You can just be short. You can just be.
He's not talking about me.
There's anything that can restrict you can be enslaving.
Yes.
And then or not. So look, a good example I think is we take care of my mom. She's in the other.
By the way, she just turned 91.
She just turned 91. Mom's 91. So, and that process has been really hard for us. I mean, we're doing the ecosystem approach full time.
Yes.
It's a lot of work for us just with that, and then taking care of her. She has dementia.
And she not to mention hear. She's deaf.
Yes.
Legally deaf.
So she can't hear and she's got dementia, and it could be enslaving. And the reason it's not is because we're not just taking care of her. We're not only developing our essence in the meantime, but we're helping her. We're talking to her, not at the form of physical communication, but at the on the other side in terms of talking to her soul.
Exactly.
Now, just a little bit of background so you can understand. She was enslaved by my dad. Now, I don't think she really understands that.
She doesn't.
She doesn't. Both my sister and I saw that enslavement. We probably didn't have the words enslavement. We didn't have to use those words.
But you, as soon as it was,
we knew it was inappropriate behavior.
Exactly.
And she's still enslaved by him. He's dead for what, 8 years?
8 years now.
Yeah.
Yes. Going
on
9. But
we see his energy keeps coming and says, "Come with me." In other words,
he's calling her from the other side. And we've seen some reactions to him doing this.
Yelling and screaming at night,
night terrors type things.
And what we do is we use our energetic practice to clear him away, and to clear the what's happening to her, so she can be connected to her essence in a way before she goes. She can decide,
because that's the best way to do it. We know.
And so we're helping her live a fuller life and learn at the level of essence, which is, by the way, that's the key to this whole show. Mm-hmm. As you uncover your essence, then you have a strength and a power, and your essence, what it wants more than anything else.
And how do you do that, Jason?
Well, what your essence wants more than anything else is to express itself and live in its power.
Yes.
And
that's why we come here.
That's why we come here.
Yes, exactly.
To express, not only to express, but to uncover and learn at the level of our essence.
Yes,
and that's what we're helping her learn at the level of essence. So there's a reason for her to stay. And I guarantee you her life's already been prolonged for a long time.
A whole lot longer. Yes. Not only because of the process, the energetic process that we do, the ecosystem approach, but because of food and exercise and the ability to be able to communicate. One of the most, I have to say this, one of the most ironic things is that Jason's father, he ruled the roost, and he would not let her talk. He would not let her voice her opinion. And in this household, she not only can do that, but she has her voice matters. And in other words, her opinion matters, or that sort of thing. And we give her that while clearing away the enslavement to his dad that says she has no voice, or she can't, she's not allowed to hear anything other than him.
We're teaching her soul, her essence, a different approach.
Exactly. So, Jason, have we?
Yep.
Okay. Well, then what are the key points of this segment, Jason?
Enslavement energy interferes with the soul's ability to grow and learn.
Mm-hmm.
This energy is negative and can manifest in multiple ways in the same person.
Yeah.
Enslavement conditions don't have to be enslaving. Prejudice, sexual abuse structures are typically enslaving, but they don't have to be. The ecosystem approach teaches you to reconnect with essence and create that ability to grow and evolve.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about how we become enslaved with relationships and with structures and institutions. Well, that's going to be interesting. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about how we become enslaved with relationships and with structures and institutions. This is going to be interesting. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. Jason, in the last segment, we talked about taking care of mom. Yes, absolutely. And how that was not enslaving, but it could be. How are relationships enslaving?
If we just tried to appease mom and say, okay, she's at the end of her life, give her whatever she wants, make her happy, quote unquote. That could be really enslaving for us, because she doesn't know, and she thinks she wants this, but then she'll forget 2 minutes later and she'll want this over there. If we tried to follow that, we would be jumping through hoops all the time.
Right. Yeah.
And what we do is we focus on, what does her essence need?
Right.
What does her essence want?
What does her essence and what does her body need and want?
Yes.
Because at this time in her life, she can't make those decisions.
Real health.
Yes.
Her favorite thing is having a Coke. And, when she came to us, she was pre-diabetic.
Yes.
And
drinking 2 to 3 Coca-Colas a day.
She had no understanding of nutrition, any of that.
Which is amazing to me.
And so we imposed some structure, which has been really helpful, but that's not the point. The point is that if we just did what she wanted us to do, or just took care of her.
Yes.
Just took care of her physical needs. It would be a lot of work for us. There would be no benefit, and it would be at the expense of our own growth and working on our own essence.
Not only that, but hers as well.
Yes.
And that when we realize
no one would be lifted up from their essence.
Exactly.
We would all be just running around chasing our tails, and no one would be better. So there's all these things where a lot of people, this is the biggest one that we're aware of right now, but sexual abuse can be very enslaving. The memories and the constructs, you can't tell. The idea of keeping a secret.
Yes.
People think that, that abuse happened 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago, whatever it was.
And so it doesn't matter.
But typically the abuser taught the person who was abused to keep secrets.
Exactly. No,
and it may not be secrets about just that. It may be secrets about other things, about the family, or things that need to be talked about.
That's right.
Or things that need to be expressed, emotions that need to be,
or information that needs to be known.
Yes.
And by the way, I didn't mean that sexual abuse didn't matter, or what was taught didn't matter. That isn't what I mean. I meant that the abuser usually teaches that whatever the abused wants or needs has no value. It's only about what the predator wants.
And that belief that you have, your wants and needs have no value is enslaving.
Exactly. Because, my mother didn't give me the same things that she gave my older sister. And how it turned out for me was my enslavement from my mother was I wasn't good enough. And I was always trying to do things that would please my mother. Well, I was talking about chasing my tail. It was really bad. It was one of the very first things I realized after I started doing the ecosystem approach.
One of the things with Harry that came out in the interview, Harry and Meghan interview, was that the fact that he was trapped.
Yes.
Didn't allow for him to see life from a greater viewpoint, because he was focused. He would have someone else focused him.
He was so sheltered
in terms of his job description.
Oh, yes.
That this is the way it was, and it wasn't about making it better. It was about looking a certain way.
Right.
And when you create that barrier up, that barrier is enslaving.
Yes.
When you create when you have to look a certain way out to the world, and oh, by the way, most companies say, we want you to look like this. We want you to be professional. So that means you have to look like this. You have to, families, we've seen so many families that say,
you have to present yourself
in a good way,
this way or that way. And because you are representing our family.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that can be enslaving. It doesn't have to be, but it can be.
Exactly.
The biggest enslavement, of course, is addiction. We didn't talk about that last time.
No, we didn't.
Addiction is very, very enslaving, because it's all about getting the next fix. It's not about going inward to that place.
No, because it actually stops you from doing that.
Here's the other thing that most people don't understand.
Okay.
Is that programming. We talk about programming. If you've listened to before, you've heard us talk about programming. And that's where you're programmed to say, okay, to fix the problem, this is what you do. 3 easy steps, 10 easy steps.
Yes.
3 easy steps to losing weight in a short period of time.
Yes.
Part of the enslavement for weight loss is this idea that our value has to do with how we look on the outside.
Yes. And also that if you follow these steps, you'll look the way you're supposed to and feel the way you're supposed to. You might be losing weight, you might be doing all those things, but you haven't changed the energy.
Because the way you feel, ultimately, at the end of the day, the way you feel about yourself comes from your essence.
Exactly.
And if that's covered up with negative energy, negative programming, old programming that says you're not good enough,
your mother's voice that says, well, you're fat,
yes,
that kind of thing.
Or even you're not good enough,
exactly,
or that you have to look good in the world to be good in the world.
Yes.
It's
pretty incredible.
In the Army, they taught us that if you want to be sharp, you have to look sharp.
Right.
That's not true. But of course it was it was very potent training. The other thing is that people of color, even gender, women,
yes,
the way they're taught. This is the institutional thing. This is the cultural thing.
Oh, I see. Okay.
What you're taught to believe keeps you focused out here, but doesn't let you focus on the inside, on your essence.
Correct.
What we're talking about, the ecosystem approach, is about focusing there and
Mhm.
saying, okay, what is my soul hurting? Yes.
Yes.
If you live in this world today, your soul is hurting from being overprogrammed.
Right.
We've been doing this for 20 years. We've been working on our stuff, our soul.
Yeah, we still
our
are.
essence.
Yes.
And we're uncovering that negative energy, but there's so much.
Yeah.
And
we don't even realize it. It's overwhelming.
And
true.
And so if this touches you, if all of a sudden you're thinking, oh my gosh, that's me.
Yeah.
If you're saying, oh my gosh, what they're talking about, there's something in my life right now that is enslaving.
Right.
This is the time to commit to the ecosystem approach. Go right now, go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for our free section. It's a free subscription service. It's, nice. we send you weekly clearings, and we'll talk more about that later in the show.
Okay.
But oh my gosh,
yeah,
don't be enslaved one more day. And chances are, if you're listening to this, you're listening on the Transformation Talk Radio Network, or you found us because there's something in your essence that says, I want something better. This isn't good enough for me. I want something better.
Exactly. Well, I have one more thing I want to talk about in this segment, Jason.
Okay.
And well, I'm going to get you to start it off. Talk about if someone, and especially a woman, speaks up. I know this is relevant to more out there than even those of you want to admit, but talk about the speaking up to, say, a husband or a priest or a boss. Talk about that for just a minute. And I have a great story about this.
Well, there's so many institutions and cultural training that the man is in charge, so you have to do what he says.
Yes.
The religious training, the minister, the priest, the rabbi is the man of God.
Yes.
And he's almost godlike, so he can't do anything wrong. The Catholic sex abuse, that's set up a whole generations of people.
Generations, not one generation.
To be enslaved.
Exactly.
Whether it's sexual abuse or something else.
Exactly. And it is so toxic. I'm going to jump in, and now it's my turn.
Okay.
And now I'm going to
tell your story.
Tell my story.
Yeah.
I have a cousin whom went to parochial school, and I didn't find this out until years later. We were sitting around talking about things, and something came up about sexual abuse and the Catholic Church. And she went, oh, and I was like, okay, is there something I don't know, is what I said. And she goes, no, you don't. I'm going to tell you. She said that she was trying to get her confirmation. I believe that's the right term. And she was working with the priest, and the priest had sexually abused her, not once, but multiple times. And I knew as she grew older, she just turned away from the church, and I never knew why. Well, she told me the story of this priest had abused her, and she went to a nun and told the nun, and the nun beat her. And then the nun said she was lying. And then the nun made her tell her parents that she had lied, and they beat her. And as soon as she could, she took off and never went back to see her family and deal with it. And she was livid, and the hate that she had about the abuse, it possessed her.
Here's the point, though. Okay, this is a horrific story, and it's hard to understand that that's going to be a problem, because people say, well, if I speak up, then I'm overcome the enslavement, right? If you speak up, then you're overcoming. But that's not necessarily true. The truth is that this, because you know this person,
I do.
She rebelled for the rest of her life to all sorts of structures and religion and
government,
family.
All of it, she hated it.
Yes, and so the enslavement worked.
It did.
Even though she spoke
was successful.
up, she spoke up and she said, "No, this is not right." People think, "Well, I'm going to overcome the enslavement because I'm going to speak up."
Right.
That doesn't necessarily do it. It's going inside to your essence first. That's where it has to start. That's where, and then speak up. We're not saying you shouldn't speak up. We're saying that speaking up in itself does not overcome enslavement.
Exactly. Actually, the ecosystem approach does overcome enslavement. Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Programming has trained us to disconnect from essence and from our vital energy. Programming creates competition for vital energy because of the unlimited sources cut off. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that in the next segment. We don't even talk about it this one. And applying the ecosystem approach creates clarity about relationships and structures that are enslaving. And the ecosystem approach teaches you to constantly focus on essence health by removing enslaving energy.
In the next segment, we're going to talk about what to do when you see someone close to you who is enslaved, or if you're feeling you're enslaved. We'll also discuss the rise of enslavement energy and how it affects all of us. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about what to do when you see someone close to you is enslaved, or if you feel you're enslaved. We'll also discuss the rise of enslavement energy and how that affects all of us. We use an ecosystem approach to you, which is much different than what you are commonly taught. We see human beings as ecosystems that need to be uncovered instead of programmed. Human potential becomes infinite with our ecosystem approach. By the way, I just want to connect. When we talk about uncovering by using the ecosystem approach, enslavement is one of the first things that
it's an energy,
and it's right there. And when you start to uncover this enslavement energy, life opens up. Life opens up, and in a very, very, very positive way. So that was my soapbox for the moment.
And we didn't talk about this last segment. We were going to, which is that programming where you say, okay, do this, 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 and this, and you'll have a happy life, which is not true. It's a form of saying you get a program about how to live your life, and instead of going inward and saying to your essence, how do I live my life, which is maybe different than how Patricia lives hers.
Exactly. Well, that's true. I could give you a big comparison right now, but I won't. But the bottom line is that what we're talking about is because we have this gift of being unique. It's one of the greatest things we have in life. But if someone, or an energy covers up your uniqueness, and you don't see how unique you are and what you came here to do, I mean, that is so awful.
But here's the point about that. Okay. Programming says, don't listen to your essence. Listen to this program out here.
Yes.
And when that happens, it sets up a competition because your essence is your source of your vital energy.
Right.
So when people are enslaved by relationships, by drugs, by institutions,
correct,
what's happened is there's a competition to get other people's vital energy because we don't get it from within ourselves. we get it from other people. That's why during this pandemic, everybody's going crazy because they're trying to get their vital energy from other people, which is the way they were trained, and because they were programmed.
Exactly.
And instead of getting them from inside.
And by the way, we talk about using life force energy. That's your vital energy. That's your source. That's where that is supposed to come from. But we've been trained because of programming that we're supposed to get it from somebody else, such as somebody we envy, someone we hate, someone that's standing next to us in the grocery store.
Our politics today are, it's about who's the bad guy.
Yes.
And that makes us angry. And we get the false belief that anger creates a source of that vital energy.
Yes.
The truth is that our essence is an unlimited source of our vital energy, but because it's covered up, go to our website and look up that our article about the discovery of the 80%.
Right. Oh, that's
because huge. Our essence is so covered up, we can't receive that vital energy. So we try and get it from the other person.
That's right.
By the way, the reason our relationship works so well is because I don't get my vital energy from Patricia and vice versa.
Exactly.
We get it from ourselves, and we have more than enough so that we both have it. When we're together, we both have more than enough.
Yes.
And that creates a happiness and a connection that's really positive.
Yes.
So here's what I want to talk about in this segment.
Okay.
This is my favorite topic, but enslavement in the world is getting worse.
Yes.
But the age of Aquarius, this is an astrological age that's come upon, that's come up recently.
Okay.
It'll last for 2021 years, 2,200. Yeah, it's
whatever.
A long time.
A long time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what happens is that we see all these bad things that are happening in the world, the pandemic, the fighting, the infighting with each other, the fighting in our country, but we also see the indications of the age of Aquarius, which is a form of democracy, individual empowerment,
yes,
a racial equality,
yes,
gender equality,
exactly,
and Me Too, BLM, Black Lives Matter, the anti-Asian prejudice, all those things are coming up to the forefront. We're starting to see that, and even more equality at work with men and women, people of color. You can see all the pushback.
Yes.
So if all these issues matter to you, the way to really make a change is start first with yourself and uncover, because, if you've been victimized by racial prejudice, gender prejudice, some combination, LGBTQ, it can go in many, many different ways. Inside is the way you get the freedom.
Because inside, if you do that from the inside out, it allows you the information you need to stand in your power.
Yes. And so when you speak up, you have more credibility.
Exactly.
You have an energy that people say, oh, that person must have something. There must be something to that, what that person is saying.
Exactly. Yeah. So, do I have an example here? What was the example?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay, me either.
Well, you were talking about it was about your mother, and her mother had a lineage of suppression that she taught you.
Oh, absolutely.
About the woman's place.
Yes, I was taught that women, first off, women's work is never done. That's the first thing. That was a programming. And the other thing is that the lineage of the only thing I was worth was to be barefoot and pregnant. And also, if and when I did that, then I would really know my place. Excuse me? That,
well, and it makes her really mad.
Yes, it does.
The righteousness is not the way out.
Okay? Yeah, no. It's not. It's clearing it.
Clearing it and finding that power within that is strong, that's sustainable, that lasts forever.
Well, and one of the things I found in all of this, just a little personal note, I found that when I started clearing all this, I not only could, I didn't have to believe that anymore, but I then became a better mother, not only to my daughter, but to your daughter, and which I find so empowering, because they come to me with the
everything.
Everything.
And because there's not this lineage that she's passing on, there's this real wisdom, which comes from where your essence, which how do you get to? Using the ecosystem approach. So we have to take time in this segment to tell people how to clear.
Oh, I forgot about that. Well,
here's the other point. That this is the biggest one.
Okay.
What do you do if there's a loved one that's enslaved?
Yes.
And we see it all the time. The thing that happened on January 6th at the Capitol.
Yeah.
We saw all these family members were telling on their other family members because they were, we can see that there was true concern that that they become the conspiracy theories and these groups and these cult-like connections.
Yes.
And people saying, hey, we know this is off.
Yes.
What do we do? Well, and this may not be a very satisfying answer to a lot of people, but you start with yourself.
Yeah.
Start uncovering yourself.
It is the way to do it.
It is the way to do it. Start with yourself. Yes. And then when you're working with someone else that has an addiction enslaved by another person, baby steps, baby steps, and starting with yourself and then doing baby steps with them.
Well, and I want to make one more point. When you try and do it all at once and like in one day or one clearing, the overwhelm sets you backwards. That doesn't work. You have to give yourself time to be able to deal with it.
We see that there's an energy that has a consciousness.
Yes.
This enslaving energy has a consciousness, and when you try and remove it, it pushes back.
Exactly.
So you can't do it too quickly. And by the way, it's the plug for next week. Not next week, but tomorrow. We're doing a special additional show.
That's right.
Filling in for Dr. Pat.
That's right.
We're going to be talking about UFOs and enslavement. And if you don't see how those two connect, you will tomorrow.
Tune in. Yes. Tune in. You'll love it. So, Jason, what are the key points of this segment?
Programming in our culture creates conditions for enslavement. Overcoming enslavement requires patience. The dark energies don't leave easily or quickly.
Right.
And the ecosystem approach was created for the age of Aquarius to create individual power to overcome enslavement.
Okay.
And the ecosystem approach teaches you to work with dark enslaving energies that are present in your life right now.
So, Jason, tell everyone how to do the clearing.
It's very simple. You don't have to have any specific posture. You can be laying down, you can be standing up, you're sitting. You don't have to sit in a reverent position. And when we say to eliminate, in your mind's eye, in your imagination, just gather up the things that we say to eliminate: barriers, veils, and illusions, specific emotions, and blow them into the processor. I know Olivia's going to put the processor up on the screen.
Exactly.
And that's what we use to process those negative energies. So picture that in your mind. If you're listening and you can't see the graphic, then imagine a trash can.
Right.
And but be sure and go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org. And when you sign up for our free section, you can download a picture of the processor.
Well, and I have to say, I did that picture, but I had never done any real painting before until I had done the ecosystem approach. I was enslaved to my mother.
Yes, because not being able to paint. So when that's what she drew a picture was our intuition.
Yes,
she drew a picture of what she saw with her intuition.
Exactly. Pretty cool, actually. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to do some clearing to help you identify enslavement energies in you and around you. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. And I forgot to say what? I forgot to tell everyone we're also going to activate life force energy in the next segment.
Yeah, we'll tell them that.
Exactly. So we'll talk to you in the next segment. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to do some clearing to help you identify enslavement energies in you and around you. You ready to get going, Jason?
Here we go.
All right.
I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the barrier so I can see enslavement energies in my life right now. Gather up those barriers, blow them into the processor.
There you go. Don't forget to put everything either in the trash can or the processor. It's really important. And I'm hoping Olivia has the picture up.
And if you're driving and you're saying, I'll just listen. Don't do that. Do the clearings with us.
Yes, and throw them in the car next to you.
No.
Oh, I didn't say that, did I? Okay, so here we go. Don't listen to me. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that I can clear enslavement energies and I don't have to be a victim. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the feelings of anger, hate, rage, and bitterness for any enslavement that's affecting me right now, because those energies can be enslaving too. Take a breath.
Take a breath. And to eliminate any feelings of fear and hurt and shame that I carry that makes me a victim to enslavement or because of enslavement. Take a breath.
Unworthiness in general always makes you a potential target for enslaving energies.
Yes, it does.
And the way you get rid of those is by clearing them. And your essence, when you uncover enough of it, is always confident about who you are, because you were designed that way.
I love that. It's true. It's true.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that enslavement energy manifests in many ways in the same person.
Mm-hmm.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see enslavement takes my vital energy. That's that life force energy. I release and let go that enslavement. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that programming and programming ideas creates competition for others for vital energy.
Yes. Take a breath. And to eliminate all of the unworthiness and self-sabotage that connects me to enslavement or keeps me stuck there. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the feelings of fear, terror, and resentment that I have confronting enslavement energies. Mm-hmm. That confrontation is really difficult. Take a breath.
Take a breath. And to eliminate all the hurt and depression I have because overcoming enslavement is slow and takes time. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any anger I have because I have been trained to program myself, which in itself is enslaving. Mm-hmm. Take a breath.
And to eliminate the feelings of resistance and fear I have to clear enslavement energies. Don't be afraid of it. Just get rid of it. You will be amazed at what you find. Take a breath. Dump all that negative energy in that processor.
And to eliminate the false belief that programming is better than healing my essence to overcome enslavement.
Yeah, I'll just do it next lifetime.
Yeah.
That's not really good. That's enslaving, by the way. Take a breath. Yes. Yeah. And to eliminate any black and white thinking that says I'm either enslaved or not.
It's about how much you're enslaved.
It's about how much you're enslaved.
Yes.
Take a breath.
And to eliminate the clarity so I can see that experts telling me what to do can be enslaving.
Mm-hmm. Take a breath. And to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that uncovering my essence creates strength for myself. Take a breath. Can I activate life force? All right. Follow me. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force energy so I can use life force energy for all that I need, want, desire, and deserve. I'm going to pull that right in through the top of my head, let it go all the way down my body to the tips of my toes. I'm going to stop it at the tips of my toes. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to let that beautiful, beautiful life force energy help me get rid of more negative energy. Take a breath. And blow out the negative energies. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can have hope to overcome enslavement energies in my life.
Mm-hmm. And all of my life. Take one more breath on that. And to activate life force so I can trust that I am always strong enough to overcome any enslavement. And by the way, all of you are. Take a breath.
And to activate life force so I can decide to use the ecosystem approach to protect myself from enslavement and enslaving energies.
Nice. Take a breath. And to activate life force so I can activate happiness, hope, and clarity, awareness, objectivity, creativity, especially about what's enslaving and what isn't, and knowing I can do something about it. Activate that life force. That is a great partner to have. Take a breath all the way down to the tips of your toes. Turn it around. Any negative energies left over, toss them. All right, Jason, here's a good one. What are we going to talk about next week?
We came up with this topic because we were watching Netflix and we saw this movie Dig.
Oh, that's right.
And it was about an archaeologist in I think Great Britain just before the Second World War, and they were digging up this old I think it was it was a ship.
Oh, that's right. A ship that had there used to be water there and now there wasn't.
But what we were starting to talk about, what's the most exciting archaeology of all? I mean, archaeology, Raiders of the Lost Ark, all that stuff.
Exactly.
It's really interesting. It's fascinating. It's a big adventure.
True.
But the most adventure that we've ever had is quote unquote digging up our own life.
Yes.
And seeing what's there and then clearing that negative energy.
Any negative energy there.
That's part of it.
Any enslavements that are there.
Most people say to us, I don't care what happened, in my past.
Your past affects you every single day.
Exactly. And
every day.
So this next show is going to be really important. But the one that I didn't talk about is the show tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Please.
We're doing a show tomorrow on UFOs, and we're going to presume, this is because this is what we see.
Yes.
That they're already here. But no one ever talks about, well, okay.
What do we do if they're already here?
Yes. If they're already here, then what?
Yes. Or that
you got to listen to this show.
This show, exactly. All right.
And Benny, if you're listening, he's the producer on tomorrow. Get your tinfoil hat ready. You're going to need it for this one. So, but we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Okay. So, Jason, why is the ecosystem approach so important for me personally?
If we touch you today, if something we said today, you kind of got, oh my gosh, maybe I'm enslaved. Maybe there's someone next to me that's enslaved. What do I do?
Yeah.
And what we know is that everybody, if you've been in this programming world,
yes,
you have some degree of enslavement.
Yes, you do.
And we see this happen. I mean, we have a certain degree of enslavement.
Absolutely.
And we keep uncovering that. And we're going to be doing that for the rest of our lives.
Yes.
But start today. And here's how you do it. It's really very simple.
Okay.
Go to our website right now, theecosystemapproach.org. It's not .com, it's .org. And go to the place where you can subscribe, and it's all free. If there's a free section, we just ask for a little bit of information.
Okay.
And make sure that box is checked.
Right.
You get a weekly newsletter that has clearings in it. Has clearings for the week that relate to the topic that we just talked about.
And they work.
Yes. A lot of people tell us they have them on their phone. They do the clearings every week.
That's right.
That's what you need to do. This is something that you're going to do for the rest of your life. We hope that you will.
Yes.
And it's not like it's something that you do.
Okay.
Because you're not a machine. You're an ecosystem, and you're constantly making the energy in your life better.
All right. And with that said, Jason, tell them about our Facebook page.
That's where we have Facebook Live. That's where we have the recordings of our shows, so you can see us on video. And while you're there, our Facebook page is theecosystemapproach.org on Facebook. And be sure and like us when you're there. I appreciate that.
Okay, good.
And be sure you sign up to go to our website first and sign up for our free section.
All right. We'll connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Eastern Time. This is Transformation Talk Radio. You're listening to the Ecosystem Approach show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.